Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the betting show for UFC Fight Night London. Tom Aspinall faces Alexander Volkov. We're going to be breaking down two fights on this card today, as well as I'm bringing back for this one, fade of the card, because let me tell you something. There are some wide lines and some known fighters, guys who we do think should get some victories, but the line is way off. We're going to be talking about a particular one that you want to keep out of your parlay. So we'll be breaking that down, but let me tell you something. We are coming off a sweeping night last weekend, 4-0, just a great night for clients. Hit on our 4% best bet play, which was Alex Pereira. We also hit on Guido Canetti, plus 130. And we also hit on JJ Aldridge, plus 110. And then as well as we did have a parlay with, who was it? It was Maverick and Sadiq Youssef, which cashed as well. So plus 12.95 units for the evening. A great showing. It has been a dominating start to the year here. 8 UFC events, cashed 7 of them for clients. So we got to keep it going here. Stick to our bankroll management. We've got some things to talk about here today. I'm excited about it. And again, that's the great part about UFC. There is just events after events after events. And I know I say this a lot on a lot of the shows, it's all about, of course, bankroll management, but we also have to keep focusing on that next event. We don't look too far ahead. Once we kind of get past an event and we cash or we have a loss, whatever the turnout is, get to the next event. That's what we got to do here. So again, feels good to keep building that bankroll, but we're going to have to talk about a few fights today here on this Saturday's card. So let's get into it. And actually, before we do, definitely make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all of those things down below. I really appreciate that, whether you're on Twitter and liking and commenting or retweeting, or whether you're on YouTube and you're commenting, liking, and that kind of thing. All of that does help this channel grow, helps my service grow. I appreciate it. Always love the banter with everybody because we're not going to always agree on every play. Of course not. But we're all here on the same team. We're looking to beat the bookies, make money, and that's what we're doing here. So let's get to it. We're going to talk the main event of the evening between Alexander Volkov and Tom Aspinall. Right now we've got it at basically a pick 'em here. You're seeing Aspinall start to pick up a little bit here. But again, I'm seeing minus 105 for Volkov. Minus 115 roughly for Aspinall. Kind of, you're kind of getting around the pick'em price here. But as we do every show, we're going to talk about each fighter, 3 fights for each fighter, see what we see if the line makes sense to place a wager. And we're first going to be talking about Alexander Volkov, and 3 fights ago he fought Overeem. Now, this was one of those spots here. Now, I did have Volkov in this spot here. I did pick him. But this is just a spot where Overeem, things were really just falling apart for this guy. Again, he is an elite level guy, a former world champion, multiple, organizations, obviously, a lot of great things. But this was a spot here where you just see him turtle up constantly. He just doesn't really have it. He's really worried about getting hit. I think a lot of that just coming from just long-term fighting, taking some beatings. The uppercut heard around the world from Ngannou. So there's a lot of different things here, but he just looked so tentative. This was really allowed Volkov to move forward, land some big shots. He was the bigger guy in there, utilizing his big strikes. Even again, quickly you saw Overeem quickly do the turtle up thing that he does up against the fence, landed some big shots, hurt Overeem early in that first round. And then into that second round, it wasn't very much. It looked like Overeem was already battered, bruised, his nose was busted up, lip was, and then you saw even more big shots landed from Volkov there. He goes out there, he gets a second round TKO victory over Alistair Overeem. So you have it there. 2 fights ago, he fought Cyril Gane. It's a tough fight to kind of break down here because you got to give a lot of respect to Gane. Gane is just, the way he moves, he's very light-footed, he bounces around a lot, really different versatile strikings with his kicking game is just the next level for a heavyweight. He does have power, but he's just very tentative, and the part that it really has seemed to, heavyweights have struggled with is just his movement, and you could see that Volkov couldn't really get centered, couldn't really just dig in and fire some shots off. He just couldn't get into rhythm, kept moving around, and that's credit to Cyril Gane. Again, he's next level, but it really just made him look really bad overall. There were some close rounds that were in there. There's definitely, I think most of the judges had 50-45. But there were some close rounds in there where you could almost go either way. But for I would say, predominantly it was a Gane showing. Volkov looked out of sorts the whole fight, but he goes out there and Cyril Gane does defeat Volkov via decision. And then most recently, he fought Marcin Tybura. This is one here where Tybura's the kind of guy who likes to go in there, likes to be scrappy, wants to lean on you, make you uncomfortable, get on you, and kind of make it dirty. And this was a spot here where I thought Volkov looked the best he's looked. Comfort-wise, relaxed, patient, even in certain spots where, obviously, Tybura is going to look for some level changes, going to look to try to get in tight on you, and really great takedown defense from Volkov. He just wasn't really allowing Tybura to implement his game plan. He landed some nice shots there throughout this fight, but just keeping good distance. And that front kick that you're going to see, and I think you see it in every fight, any guy that's really looking to cut that distance, he really just throws that front kick as kind of like a distance, a rangefinder kind of thing, and that pushes the opponent back, allows him space to kind of utilize his kickboxing. He's definitely not a quick individual, Volkov, but the thing that he does have is, again, he's got the power, he's got big shots, he's a big guy, very tall, rangy, so he made it very tough for Tybura, who, again, defending those takedowns over 3 rounds, I thought really says a lot about his elevation of just overall being a mixed martial artist who is more predominantly, obviously, a kickboxer. But he goes out there, pretty much wins every round, looked good, goes out there and gets a victory over Marcin Tybura. On the other side, we've got Tom Aspinall. Now, he's minus 115 roughly. And three fights ago, he fought Alan Badeau. And this is one here. Not going to break this one down here. I mean, Badeau was a big underdog here. Tom Aspinall was a minus 650. Badeau is 0-3 in the UFC. I don't even know if he fights for the organization anymore. But this was one where Aspinall kind of just cut distance, got in front of him. And that's the one thing that really sticks out to me, and we're probably going to talk about it a couple times here, is the hand speed. Is that hand speed of Tom Aspinall. He really, I think going back and really rewatching these, you have even more of just respect for the way that this guy throws punches, how quick he does. He's got power behind them, and he makes it difficult. And here was a spot where Badeau just looked way overwhelmed. I think it was the first minute and 30 seconds. He landed some nice shots. Aspinall got a big takedown, ground and pound, really just mauled him all over the place. It didn't look like, honestly, Badeau wanted to even be in there. But he goes out there and he knocks him out, gets the finish in the first round for Tom Aspinall. So there you have it there. 2 fights ago, he fought Andrei Arlovsky. This was really a great fight for him. And this was one of those ones where you got the crafty vet, you got Arlovsky, who has been the kind of guy who has been the spoiler in certain spots fighting these young up-and-comers, and he's been out there and he's been absolutely blasted. But this was a spot here where, Arlovsky's, even at this point of his career, he has looked good in certain spots. But in this spot here, Aspinall was a minus 260. So again, it shows the books do have a lot of respect for him. But this was a spot here where I thought that early, he pressed Arlovsky. And this is, again, the same thing. He pressed Arlovsky. He went for the big shots, looking to land the big shots. And Arlovsky is a vet, kind of able to kind of move around the cage a little bit, throw some leg kicks, just try to mix it up a little bit. But you did see that once that it started to get a little bit tough, you did see that Aspinall had a beautiful takedown in that second round where he just bulldozed and took Arlovsky down. First round was somewhat close, but you did see, again, it just the way that I like that he brings the fight to his opponent, he cuts that distance, puts the pressure on, utilizes his hand speed, and then if he needs to, level change. I thought that showed a lot of growth for Aspinall, that he was able to kind of, hey, I can't get this guy, I can't put this guy away early, I'm going to start utilizing my other weapons, my other tools. He did it beautifully, ends up getting the finish in the second round via submission. And then most recently, he fought Sergey Spivak, and this is, I think, stylistically a good matchup for him. And he went out there and he, passed with flying colors, where Spivak is a very slow starter. He's kind of a guy who needs to be hit a few times. He kind of, sets up some shots a little bit, and he kind of almost gives away that first round, and that's costed him in certain spots. And this was no different here. I mean, way more explosive than Spivak. Hand speed, everything, and it was, again, a short notice fight for Spivak, but he goes out there, he throws a big elbow to the head in that first round, rocked him, dropped him, fight over. Another nice finish for Aspinall. So there you have it there. So with that being said, obviously you got both of these guys here. You've got Volkov, he high-level kickboxer, big, long, rangy striker. Great front kick. We talked about that. The great front kick that he's able to utilize that, which sets up a lot of his offense. And then on your side, you've got Aspinall, and he's got power, he's got good boxing, he's showing he's well-rounded, and he's this young up-and-comer who is starting to get some hype behind him. But I think, and I touched on it a little bit here, I think the biggest thing here is that hand speed from Aspinall. And that is something that I think he can really take advantage of when he's cutting distance. So you just don't see the combinations that come out of Volkov are really slow. And to be honest here, even when I was first looking at it, I'm kind of like, oh man, he is very plodding. He is very slow. He's big and he's got power and he's got some big shots behind those, behind the kicks and the combinations. But there's just the way that Aspinall bounces around, looks for angles, hand speed, and when he pressures, he's able to land nice shots. That to me is really just going to be very difficult for him. But you mix in that forward pressure, so you have the fact that one, he's going to have the quicker hands. Two, he's going to be looking to cut the distance. And again, the way that you really, I guess, nullify someone who's a really good, has really good kicking game. Is smother it. Get close. Don't allow them to set and plan and fire. Also, you want them backpedaling. A lot harder for them to fire off any kicks off of their back foot. So there's a lot that goes into it, cutting that distance. And that's just a way that Aspinall fights. He cuts distance. He looks for power. He looks to kind of bring, get in your face kind of thing. And that to me really is where he's going to find a lot of success. I just think that the slower combinations of Volkov are just he's not going to be able to get his offense off, and that's going to really cause him a lot of problems. Also is going to be the takedowns part of this. Now you got the takedown part of this. That's going to be something, we've seen Aspinall do that, and we've seen him kind of look to change up the pace, give his opponent a different look. Now, obviously, you've got Volkov. That's going to be, I think, a spot where Volkov can defend those. He's got a 73% takedown defense rate, but the fact that in the past Volkov has fought really good grapplers, wrestlers, guys who are going to look at a level change right away on you. I think that's really helped him elevate his takedown defense. That's going to help him overall. But what I like that Aspinall does a little bit differently is he disguises his takedowns really well. And I thought that's what he did in some of these other fights, where that first step, he is pretty quick. I mean, if he looks for that opening, he's all in on them. And that may be another opportunity where, yes, Volkov has the takedown defense ability, but I think that mixing it up could at least, even if he doesn't get Volkov down, it helps give, again, a different look where he has his offense, how he's firing his offense. And also the fact that, again, we talked a little bit about it, but the movement. So the fact that he's very bouncy on his feet, very loose on his feet, Tom Aspinall is, that's going to help against a slower guy looking for those takedowns. And then the last thing is pretty much is his fight against Arlovsky. I mean, I just was really impressed by that, and I thought the way that he fought in that fight, he's the kind of guy, he's been putting guys out in the first round. And, Aspinall has just been running through guys, and when he wasn't able to get, you could see it early. He pushed, thought he could, Arlovsky's shown to be a little chinny, and the fact that he was able to, he didn't get that finish, I think shows a lot of just fight IQ, where he says, I can't get this guy, I can't put this guy away, but you know what? I'm going to start level changing. And he did it quickly into that second round where he's, Arlovsky may be looking to kind of relax for a minute, and he went for that, blasted through him, dragged him to the ground. As soon as Arlovsky was down, it was almost like he was thrown off, and that's what allowed the submission finish. I think that helps him a lot here again, where different looks are going to be important here. So, with that being said here, I really like Tom Aspinall here. I think it is absolutely worth the play. Minus 115 is good. I think there's just so many things that I like about Aspinall compared to Volkov. And again, I think the speed is going to be the biggest difference maker here when he's cutting distance, getting in his face. So for me here, I like Tom Aspinall to get the victory, minus 115. That is my free play. The other free play we'll be talking about here is between Mike Grundy and Makwan Amirkhani. We right now have Mike Grundy minus 180. You've got Americani is plus 144 roughly. And, you know, the first thing here is you've got two guys who are starting to get a little bit up there. You've got Grundy, 35 years old. You got Americani, I think he's 32, 33 years old. But the thing here for me that really is a little bit of the worrisome part of this is the inactivity behind what Grundy's been doing. And the fact that here you've got, since 2019, he's fought 3 times. Grundy has fought 3 times since 2019. He's 1-2 over that span. Now he's fought, you know, some good fighters in there, but that's terrible. I think that just really raises a lot of red flags. And not only that, but the last fight for Grundy, which was against Lando Venata, he looked horrible. He looked terrible. He ran out of gas really quickly. His striking looked sloppy. He looked very desperate at certain points. Now, Venata is definitely, you know, he's an elusive guy, you know, free-flowing. You know, the way he throws his combinations, he can be unorthodox or just at least very unpredictable the way that he moves. And Grundy looked horrible. I mean, he just couldn't do a thing. He looked desperate at points, was getting picked apart, and that to me really, again, a guy who has not fought, you know, has a lot of inactivity, getting up there in age. How much really motivation does he have? He's, you know, back-to-back losses, and again, this last one looked really terrible. Plus the fact that both these guys don't have good cardio. But the part here that I think that leans me more towards Makwan is the fact that, you know, Grundy, his path is takedowns. That's his path. He's a wrestler. He's looking to really control you. His controlling is a little bit iffy as well, but the cardio part here is that if he can't get these takedowns, if he can't get Makwan down, now Makwan, again, not the greatest cardio also, but if this fight ends up staying on the feet and they're just both sloppily trying to take each other down, on the feet, both tired, I would lean Makwan with better striking, a little bit more versatile striking, than Grundy really kind of sloppily throwing these big hooks to kind of cut distance to try to get the takedown. I think he's going to keep trying to do that, even when he's tired or can't find the opening. That, I think, really hurts him. Plus the fact that Grundy has a 26% takedown success rate. So his biggest path to victory is wrestling, and he's really, his inability to get it there is going to hurt his overall performance. And Makwan, again, he's got some wrestling there. He's shown to be a little bit sloppy there too. But the fact that Makwan actually has some grappling ability should help him even further in this fight there. And again, the basic striking, I'm not very big on the way that Grundy fights here, but when you're looking at the line here, and you're looking at minus 180 on Mike Grundy, there's just a lot of question marks there. So for me here, giving you the quick play here, for me here, I like Makwan here as a free play. Plus 144, I think is a good number. I am just so low on Mike Grundy overall. So Makwan, Americani, plus 144, that is my free play. And the last thing we're going to go over real quickly is the fade of the card. And I know we talked about this a little bit here and there, who, you know, who you guys like, or actually not like, but who you dislike, and who you don't want to be having in your parlays. Or we're talking about Paddy Pimblett a little bit there, and that line is a little bit high, you know, very high. But the one I'm going with here is I am going with the fade of the card is going to be Gunnar Nelson minus 150. What in the fuck is that? A lot of things here I don't like, but to make this short and sweet, really the first part about this is that Gunnar has been out of the cage for roughly 3 years, if my math is correct. 3 years. That to me already is just giving a million questions on what is going on with it, just what's going on here. Now, obviously, we know ring rust is a real thing, is an issue for all fighters. Talk about that, getting your timing down, just kind of taking a shot, you know, real action. That to me, there's just too many questions for a guy out that long at minus 450 is just massive. Now, on the other side here, we know that Soto, you know, he's been out for a little bit. He's not Mr. Active either. But the place that I think that Soto can find success is going to be on the feet. Now, I am not big on Gunnar on the feet. I mean, I know that at times he almost has that Conor McGregor karate long stance kind of thing. And he really is another one who's really susceptible to only having the one path and looking for the takedowns, looking for that grappling opportunity, looking for that path. Now, Soto on the other side here, he's a guy that's going to stand, look to defend, and he has underrated power. This guy is not an elite level fighter by any means, but he has the power to land. And the thing that I don't like about Gunnar is Gunnar is shown to be chinny. He's been dropped, wobbled, and he's hittable. You know, he's very hittable. When he starts getting into the I need to take you down, I know I have no other way to beat you, I have to get this to the ground to at least control top position, win the round, submission hunt. And if he's not able to do that, I think this is where another spot you're going to see some sloppy takedowns, just really reaching for these any clinching opportunities for Gunnar, and that is where I think Soto lands a big shot, hurts Gunnar. I just don't like it here. I think closing the distance for Gunnar is going to be a scary spot for him. Again, a guy that's been out for a long time with an iffy chin. To me, minus 450 is just ridiculous here. So this for me here is my fade of the card. I'm not even saying at this point. Sometimes I do say, hey, I may sprinkle something on it. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing that on Soto here, but I just think this number is ridiculous. Minus 450. So my fade of the card is Gunnar Nelson. Tread lightly and probably just stay the hell away from him. Those are my free plays for UFC London. We're going to see how we do. We have been destroying the bookies, just slamming them around. Got to keep it going. Excited to see how this weekend goes. I have a package of plays up on Wagertalk, linked in the description. And this is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show, and I'll see you next time.